Welcome back to AI Serendipity, where tradition meets innovation and we always ask the hard questions, always with a touch of sartorial flair, and of course, a healthy dose of skepticism. I am Santiago Martin Caravaca, an Italian-Spanish dual-qualified lawyer, a technologist by curiosity, and your guide through the twists and turns of the SUNO AI case. Today we are diving into the fascinating story of SUNO AI. This isn't just another tech story. It is the tale of a bold startup rewriting the rules of creativity, pushing boundaries, and inevitably stepping on a few powerful toes along the way. So grab your curiosity, let it lead the way, and join me as we explore how SUNO went from vision to disruption, and why it's making so much noise in the music industry, literally and figuratively. SUNO, it's a name that might conjure images of a Mediterranean sunset, but in reality, it is the brainchild of a few very bright minds who decided that music deserved to be democratized, or perhaps more accurately, algorithmatized. You know, I always appreciate a good algorithm as much as a fine vintage. But let's begin. Let's begin where all great stories do, the origins. SUNO was founded in 2022. That's practically yesterday in tech years. 2022, an era where generative AI was starting to pique the curiosity of the world. But like Real Madrid, in a high-stake Champions League final, they've quickly proven they belong at the top. At the heart of it all is Mikey Schulman, the CEO and co-founder, a man whose CV reads like a collision of art and science. This isn't just your typical tech bro who cut his teeth on coding boot camps. A young Schulman playing the piano at the age of 4, joining bands later on, only to admit with a charming dose of self-awareness that he wasn't quite destined for Carnegie Hall. So what does a musically inclined mind do when he can conquer the stage? He gets a PhD in physics from Harvard, focusing on quantum computing. Yes, you heard that right. Quantum computing, a choice that feels almost poetic for someone intent on merging the structured precision of algorithms with the fluid chaos of music. But it wasn't just Schulman's academic brilliance that laid the foundation for SUNO. It was his stint at Kenko, where he worked on machine learning models for financial analysis and intelligence data that planted the seed. He was essentially working on converting speech to text for corporate return calls. Here's where our story takes a turn, as good stories should. The eureka moment came when users began trying to repurpose this speech-to-text model for making music. As Schulman put it, they were trying to make the text-to-audio model do something it was never designed to do. They were essentially forcing it to sing and play a tune. The model did spit out little bits of music, but it was, as Schulman admitted, a total crapshoot. This is the sort of creative chaos I find quite stimulated, akin to a dissonant chord resolving into a beautiful harmony. It sparked the realization that music was where the real creative action was, and thus SUNO was born, or at least conceived. They wanted to make music that doesn't exist and break down the barriers to musical creation. The other founders were also musicians, and this is crucial. They weren't just building a model, they were driven by a passion for music. From this spark of creative chaos emerged SUNO. But what makes their story compelling, in my opinion, is that they weren't merely technocrats. They were artists at heart, driven by a vision to democratize music creation. They chose to create a self-supervised foundation model trained on text and applied to audio. This doing it right approach, as they call it, was intended to be future-proof. They decided to use transformers, taking advantage of the work of the open source community. But now let's talk about money, the lifeblood of any good tech narrative. SUNO secured $125 million in Series B funding, a sum that could make even the most seasoned venture capitalists pause. This funding allowed them to scale rapidly, assembling a team of 43 talented individuals, a compact orchestra of engineers, designers, and creatives. What's particularly fascinating is that even with this investment, they haven't lost sight of their core principle: democratizing music creation. One of the key moments for SUNO was their partnership with Microsoft, where they integrated their free tier into Copilot. It is a strategic alliance, placing their technology right in the hands of users who might never have thought of themselves as musicians. It's also introduced SUNO to a wider audience. This was not some niche tool. It was on the cusp of mainstream acceptance. It is quite an achievement that over 10 million users have generated songs with the product. Now, what can SUNO actually do? This is where it moves from an interesting story to a groundbreaking technology. It started with the basics: text prompts to generate songs. You input a description, a vibe, a set of lyrics, and the AI does the rest. But it's evolved. The latest models like version 4 offer better audio quality, clearer vocals, and more creative structures. But it doesn't stop there. Users can upload their own voices, lyrics, or instrumental hooks, customizing genres, styles, and even specific vocal characteristics. It is like having a personal studio, producer, and vocal coach, all powered by AI. Imagine composing a romantic melody for Valentine's Day or a playful tune to impress your boss, all in just minutes. With features like remixing, remastering, and collaborative jam sessions, SUNO has transformed the act of music creation into an accessible, interactive experience. It is not just a tool, it is a playground for creativity. SUNO users can make songs about anything, from funny everyday occurrence to deeply emotional moments. It's about telling stories through music. As for the future, well, it seems that SUNO isn't just aiming to be a music generator, but an experience creator. Schulman has talked about the blurring lines between creation and consumption, moving towards a more fluid, interactive model of music engagement. I quite fancy the thought of creating a song about a fine bottle of Pegasiphilia while I sip it. But as with all disruptive innovation, SUNO's journey hasn't been without its challenges. Enter the lawsuit. Major record labels, the gatekeepers of the music industry, have accused SUNO of copyright infringement, alleging that its AI models were trained on their catalogs without permission. Here's the main point of the argument. The labels claim that SUNO's training process involved copying copyrighted recordings, enabling the AI to produce outputs that mimic existing songs. SUNO, on the other hand, asserts that its use of this data falls under the doctrine of fair use. Now, this isn't just a legal skirmish. It is a battle over the very fabric of creativity and innovation. The record labels argue that SUNO's output could flood the market, devaluing authentic human-made recordings. They describe it as saturating the market with machine-generated content, which to them threatens the sanctity of their meticulously curated catalogs. But SUNO counters this with an intriguing narrative of their own, that this lawsuit isn't about copyright, it is about competition. They accuse the labels of using copyright law as a smokescreen to stifle innovation and maintain their market dominance. Let's not overlook the historical context. The music industry has a track record of resistant technological advances, from vinyl records to synthesizers, and now artificial intelligence. SUNO's partnership with Microsoft adds another layer to this story. By integrating their AI into Microsoft's Copilot, they've managed to democratize access to music creation, bringing the technology to millions. But this also complicates the David and Goliath framing. SUNO is no longer a scrappy startup. It is a key player in a much larger ecosystem. The SUNO case is more than just a legal battle. It is a wake-up call. It challenges us to rethink what it means to be a creator, an artist, and even a consumer in the age of AI. The legal fights, they are inevitable. But let's not miss the bigger picture. The creative revolution isn't just coming, it is already here. We are entering a whole new era of sound, and I can't wait to see where it goes. But what does this mean for the future of music and AI? On one side, we have record labels fiercely protecting their intellectual property and business models. On the other, we have SUNO breaking new ground with AI technology while navigating the complex terrain of fair use and ethical data practices. At its core, this case compels us to confront profound and thought-provoking questions. What happens when the tools of creation become accessible to everyone, potentially disrupting traditional power structures? As we close this chapter on SUNO AI, one thing is clear: this is more than a legal battle. It is a defining moment for the intersection of technology, art, and law. The implications go beyond the courtroom, shaping the future of creativity itself. If this episode sparked your curiosity or left you questioning, don't just listen, subscribe. Join us here at AI Serendipity, where tradition meets innovation. In our next episode, we'll explore the groundbreaking SUNO AI copyright lawsuit, dissecting the structural anatomy of the complaint and answer, the foundation of this billion-dollar legal battle. Until then, keep questioning, keep asking the hard questions, and remember, innovation is inevitable, but how we embrace it defines who we are. See you next time.